All right, here's your homework solutions for the quadratic formula. The formula is up here. You should always do your homework first and then watch the video and get support that you need. So for the quadratic formula, it first of all needs to be equal to 0. And then the first number is a, the second number is -2, and the last number there is c. And the formula is this: -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then we have to simplify it. So a negative times a negative is, and that's 2, is positive 2. -2 squared is 4. 4 times 48. Well, that's like 200 take away 8. What, 192? And then 2. 4 plus 192. And then what number times itself is 196? And that answer is 14. 14 times 14 is 196. And then we get our answers. So 2 plus 14 is 16. 2 take away 14 is -12. And then divide, and you get two answers, 8 and -6. All right, let's try it again. This one I want to simplify first. So I'm going to divide everything by 3 to make the number smaller. So it's a little bit easier. So 2x squared minus 5x. The first number is 2. The second number is -5. And the last number you don't see is 0 beside the 5x. The formula is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then we're going to solve it. So a negative times a negative is positive 5. -5 squared is 25. Any number times 0 is 0. So that's just the square root of 25. 2 times 2 is 4. So it leaves me with two possibilities. So the square root of 25 is 5. 5 plus 5, which is 10 over 4. Or 5 take away 5, which is 0 over 4. And I have my two answers. Number 3. Step 1 is to make this equal to 0. So that's -x squared plus 8x minus 7. A is the first number, -1. B is the second number, and C is the last number. So we have -1, 8, and -7. The formula is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So we plug into the formula. And now we have to simplify it. So we have -8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared, which is 64. A negative times a negative times a negative is negative. And 4 times 1 times 7 is 28. And that leaves me with the square root of 64 take away 28. 36. So we have two answers. So, first of all, the square root of 36 is 6. And now the two answers. A -8 plus 6 or -8 subtract 6, -14. So if I simplify that, the two answers are +1 or +7. Number 4, we want it equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 8 and I'm going to add 2x. Make sure you have like terms underneath each other. I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. A is 1, B is 6, and C is 9. The formula is big fraction line, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then I simplify it. So 6 squared is 36, and 4 times 9 is 36. So 36 take away 36 That's 0. And the square root of 0 is 0. It can't be plus or minus 0. 0 is neither positive or negative. So this is just basically adding or subtracting 0. We're just left with negative 6 divided by 2. There's one answer. And that one answer is negative 3. Number 5. We're almost there. It is equal to 0. A is 1. I don't see B, so it's 0. And the last number, the number by itself, is negative 25. The formula is negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC over 2A. 0 doesn't add or subtract. And inside we have 0, but we have negative 4 times 1 times negative 25. So a negative times a negative, 4 quarters, that's 100. 2 times 1 is 2. So the square root of, and this could be positive or negative, the square root of 100 is 2, and then 10 divided by 2 gives me the answer, positive or negative 5. All right, last one. Step number 1, it needs to be equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 1. The next step is we have to add 12. These numbers are a little bit large, so I'd be looking to see if is there a number to divide that reduces it down, and there isn't. All right, so I'm going to use the quadratic formula. I think something's going to happen here. We'll see. Oh, we'll see. So negative b, sorry, let's write down what a, b, c equals. So a is 6, b is 17, and c is 12. So we have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then we're going to solve it. Those numbers are really large. I'm going to use a calculator. Sorry. So if I use a calculator, so if I go 17 squared, subtract 4 times 6 times 12, I would never give you a question like this with large numbers without a calculator. Believe it or not, that whole thing simplifies to 1. So 17 squared, subtract that is just 1. So what I'm left with, I'll do it up here, is the square root of 1 is 1. So I got negative 17 plus or minus 1 over 12. So negative 17 plus 1, that's negative 16 over 12. Negative 17 minus 1, that's negative 18 over 12. You don't need to simplify it. Those don't get evenly. They're fractions, and they're fine if you don't reduce it down. All right, you did your homework. Mr. G Math, over and out. Good job.